We are now live. This is Atheist Nomads episode 55's interview, live recording with Dave Silverman of American Atheists. I am Wesley, or I am Dustin, and Wesley is here with me as well. For those of you watching on YouTube and joining us live, we're doing this just so that you can join in right when it's happening and be able to interact with the guests while we do it, and also get a chance to get the behind the scenes view of what's happening instead of the normal podcast experience after I have finished editing and cleaning everything up. It also forces us to do a little cleaner job of recording. So glad to have this here for you. I'm very happy that we have people watching. And with that disclaimer out of the way, the episode will be live at some point in the future for the regular edited podcast, but that will be just a little bit out. It's the summertime, and so schedules end up working out weird to where, time frames are a little bit abnormal at the moment. So now for the start for the podcast portion of it. Joining us now is Dave Silverman of American Atheists. Dave is gotten his name around the country quite well. He has made headlines. He is one of the go-to guys for Fox News and many other media outlets. He was the front man at the Reason Rally, which I was very happy to be at. Knows how to throw a good conference, and just seems like a pretty all-around kick-ass guy. Dave, welcome to Atheist Nomads.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show, Dustin.
I gotta say this. David fucking Silverman. Holy shit. Oh, wow. Not to steal any thunder, but holy fuck. Wow.
I hope that's a good thing and not a bad thing.
No, well, good for us. Hey, I mean, you might as well be Satan for half the Christians out there.
I'm just like Satan, except I'm real.
Yeah.
You know?
That's all right. So, what? Let's start off with American Atheist. Really, what is American Atheist? If there's anybody watching that doesn't know, what's it exist to do?
Well, what does it exist to do? I think I'll just start from the beginning. American Atheist was founded in 1963 by Madalyn Murray O'Hair, and we are the hardliners of the atheist movement. We are the ones who ignore, to a good extent, political correctness. We tell the truth, and if it makes us unpopular, that's too bad. We tell the truth anyways. And really, the purpose of American Atheists is to achieve atheist normalcy in America. That is to get America to the point where atheism is as normal as anything else. Now, we do that via firebrand atheism, and it's always been via firebrand atheism, but more so perhaps under my leadership. And what we have seen is a dramatic surge in press, a dramatic surge in coverage, and a growth in the entire movement as a result of the firebrand atheism that we're doing. And that's something that's exactly according to plan. It was exactly as we expected. And it's something of which I'm very proud of. I think that the fact that the entire movement seems to be growing in coordination, in confluence with the American atheist growth is something that I take a lot of personal pride in. I'm not saying that the rest of the movement is completely dependent on American atheists. What I'm saying is we seem to be really helping. And despite the fact that some people say, oh, we're too hard, or we're too this, or we're too that, we seem to be having a very good direct correlation, correlatable, quantifiable growth with the growth of the atheism movement and the growth of people who call themselves atheists nationwide. That's what we do. So we're the ones who put the billboards up that say God is a myth, religion is a scam. I'm the one who goes on Bill O'Reilly and the rest of Fox News and says the truth, and they say, oh, you're terrible, you're bad, you're awful. But I'm still telling the truth, and I'm still only asking for and demanding equality. So it works very well, and I'm really pleased to be at its head.
That's something I've always appreciated about what you've done. Uh, with like the billboards that are out there, you open a lot of doors and take a lot of heat off of other groups also when you do that. You
Yeah,
know,
that's the point. You know, if you remember, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Free Thought Action put up billboards that said "One Nation Indivisible,"
yeah.
and another organization, I think it was Coalition of Reason, put up "Don't believe in God, you're not alone." Two really nice, fluffy, happy billboards that didn't say anything bad, and then still they got hated on. Still, the news was all about them, saying, "Oh, look at these terrible atheists putting up." And then they had the local pastors, "Oh, how dare they take God out?" And what they were complaining about was not the content of the billboards. What they were complaining about was that the billboards existed, that the billboards existed advertising atheists. And so we figured, I figure, if they're going to complain, if the news is going to complain about our billboards, why are we pussyfooting around the message? Why are we being nice if they're not going to be nice to us? If we put up One Nation Indivisible and they call us names and they deface the billboards, why are we pretending to respect their religion? So we put up, you know, it's a myth, and guess what? You know, it's a myth. That first billboard that we put up in front of the Lincoln Tunnel, that was on the air, that was on the national news in 9 different countries. 9 different countries. And oh, everybody was talking about it, and our membership shot way up, and all of a sudden, those nice billboards are beginning to be treated as nice billboards. All of a sudden, there is exactly what we expected. We had the bad guy atheist putting up, you know it's a myth, you know it's a scam, you know there are no gods, and we know you're right. And we have those good guy atheists putting up, don't believe in God, you're not alone. Well, guess what? That means there are good guy atheists. And that's the big picture, making sure that people know that atheists are not a monolith, atheists are broad, and a lot of us are nice, and a lot of us are maybe a little more blunt. But to highlight the breadth, you need to show a breadth. And that's what we do. And yeah, we take a lot of heat. We get a lot of threats. But never do we insult people, with the rare exception of politicians. Never do we attack, you know, we don't say, oh, Christian people are stupid and Muslim people are stupid. We don't say anything like that. We get accused of saying that. We get accused of saying that a lot. But we don't actually say anything other than your religion is a lie, your God is a myth, and you can do better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with what you're saying about the nice billboards, when the Treasure Valley Coalition of Reason launched 2 years ago, we had a billboard in Boise and a billboard in Nampa, in conservative southern Idaho, and the media didn't really care. We got on one TV channel and we got into the local paper, and that was it.
What was your billboard?
It was the we had "Don't believe in God, join the club," and "You can be good without God."
Yeah, well, those are old billboards, and
Old
they're not
and
very. Yeah, they're
nice.
old and they're used, and just think of what you would have gotten if, as far as coverage is concerned, if you put in a little bit more of an edge.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't like those billboards at the first place. They're not my style. I think "Don't believe in God, you're not alone" is I think it's probably my least favorite billboard, because it can be seen as being pro-religion. Don't believe in God, you're not alone. And I don't like that double meaning. I do like "Don't believe in God, join the club," but it's been done. And I think if you put edge in, and this is one of the reasons that we do our billboards, and one of the ways we do our billboards, we put the edge in to get the news. See, what a lot of people don't understand is that we do not put up billboards for the people who see the billboards. Ever. We do not put up billboards so that people can see the billboards. We put up billboards for the press. Everything we do, every billboard we launch, It's not a billboard. It's a press story. This is what we did. This is why we did it. And if you look at the progression of the billboards that we put up, every single one has been a progression off the last. Don't believe. No, you know it's a myth. You know it's a scam. You know there are no gods. We know you're right. There were 5 of those. You know it's nonsense. That's for the rapture day. Tell your family you don't believe in God. They'll probably agree. Everything that we put out comes with a press release. Everything that we put out comes with a story for the press to write about. And well, if you look at our billboards, you know, people trash our billboards because, oh, we're using the wrong font, or the print is too small, there's too much words on there. Guess what? None of that matters if your target market is the press. If your target market is the press, you make a billboard that's visually stimulating, so they'll show a picture. You give them the graphic, and you tell them that they can't clip it or cover it at all, so they show the whole graphic, which includes your website, and then they make news out of it. And so they make news out of it. They make a story. Oh, look at those bad guy atheists. Look at them. They put this billboard up. Read it carefully. Look at how bad they are. You know, look, read it carefully. It has their website right there on the bottom. Read that. Look at how bad they are. And the amount of press that we get, the amount of people who read that press, that's our target market. That's how we do it. So all of our billboards, I mean, you may have seen our billboards up in these. We only put billboards up in great locations when the location is part of the press. The foot of the Lincoln Tunnel, Times Square in New York. That's part of the press. Okay, that's the only reason. I don't care how many people are looking at the billboard. I care that the press picks it up. And sometimes we'll pick a billboard that actually is in the worst location because it's cheap, and we don't care. Doesn't matter. When we put up our billboards in South Carolina for the Democratic National Convention, we brought the cheapest billboards we possibly could find. Cheapest we could find. And guess what? They got taken down because they were too hard and there were too many threats. And guess what? That's 2 press hits right there. The billboards went up, the billboards came down. 2 press hits. Very nice. Didn't cost us any money.
Yeah, that's some cheap advertising.
Yeah.
With the amount of media attention you get.
And I mean, what I love, I'll tell you a great story that really relates to this. This past year, we talk about a grand slam home run. We put up this billboard in Times Square that said, "Who needs Christ in Christmas? Nobody." And there was a hand that came up and crossed off the word Christ. Okay, big problems, right? The press around it was okay. It was good. It was good press. Then Senator Lanza from Staten Island. What an idiot! He said he came out. He launched a press release. He likened us to Nazis. Then he demanded. He tried to get a boycott. Now get this. I'm going to say this correctly now. This is a New York state senator. He actually sponsored a boycott of Times Square during the Christmas season because he doesn't like our billboard. And he threatened to take away our 501c3 status. So in response, so I'm sitting at dinner with Dave Moscato, my PR director.
Yep.
And we get this news that this has happened. And I start cheering because this was like the best thing that ever happened. I immediately called Clear Channel and I got another billboard right in Senator Lanza's territory, and I put the same billboard up there so that he could know. And then we launched, of course, another press release where I dared him to take away our 501c3 status. Okay? Because you can't do that for expressing views. You can't do that. And the press around that was just beautiful. That second billboard cost us $2,000. We only had it up for a week. But after a week, we're done. Yep. After a week, we're done. It doesn't matter where it was. Didn't matter how many people saw it. What mattered was the press release behind it. And they took it and they put it in the New York Post. And they, look at this horrible billboard that says Enjoy your Christmas without Jesus. What a terrible billboard that is. And here's the website underneath. It was just like a nice little symphony of of idiocy that we did with the state senator. He called, by the way, and apologized to us. And he said he was going to apologize. Yes, he did. And then he said he was going to apologize publicly, but he did not. Surprise, surprise. So I'm thinking of putting up the same billboard in his district again. Maybe he'll apologize this year.
All right, let's step it back, like way back.
Oh, wait, before we start stepping back, we do have some comments from viewers.
Okay.
First off, sometimes you have to be a little aggressive to enlighten people of your perspective.
Yeah, that's right.
Next one, from the same person. There used to be a billboard on Route 113 South. Yeah, Route 113 South in Delaware, south of Magnolia. They had the bloodiest depiction of Jesus hanging for your right to party.
That wasn't mine. But I don't like the word aggressive. I don't like the word aggressive. I like the word assertive. I try and stay away from the words like aggressive and militant, because there's nothing aggressive or militant in American Atheists. We're very pacifistic. We don't do any violence, and we don't support any violence. So just for the record, I don't like the word aggressive. I like the word assertive. I like the word firebrand. I do not like the word militant.
Well, this comes from a guy that has a zombie Jesus on his forearm here.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. From Robert Ray, we have American Atheists taking one for the team.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we do that. We take a lot. We take a lot more than one. But that's all right. That's all right. That's why we're here. You know, the analogy is that if you look at the past movements for equality, if you look at the civil rights movement, if you look at the women's lib movement, if you look at the LGBT equality movement, there's always one player, one part of the movement that uses assertive language, that uses assertive tactics. That is a firebrand. And they bring in the news, and yeah, they take a lot of hits, they get a lot of threats, they get a lot of death threats like we do. But in the end, they really push the movement forward, because otherwise the so-called nice guys would be the bad guys, and the message itself wouldn't get nearly as much play because the bad guys are too nice to do anything newsworthy.
Yep.
All right.
So let's go way back.
All right,
yes.
Way back. Age 6, you came out as an atheist, or you just tell us about your childhood.
So age 6. So I'm in the back seat of my mother's car, and I'm 6 years old, and I remember this day very, very clearly. It's just one of those memories that I remember very clearly from that period of time. And I was raised in a Reformed Jewish household, and there was a lot of Christian influence in my household, in that my nanny, who was like a second grandmother to me, was Christian, and she bought me, and so I got Christmas presents every year, as well as Hanukkah presents every year. So I got Christmas presents. I was a happy guy. So I got Christmas presents from Santa Claus. So at 6 years old, I believed in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, because I got Easter presents too. It all made perfect sense. But I was having doubts about Santa Claus at 6 years old, and so I devised a trap for my mother. And the simple trap was, I thought my mother was Santa Claus. I thought my mother was Santa Claus, but I wasn't sure. So I had a trap. I decided to tell my mother that I had written Santa Claus a letter asking for a train set, when I hadn't really done it at all. And if my train set came, I knew that my mother was Santa Claus. And if my train set didn't come, I knew Santa Claus might be real. Well, I'm in the back seat of my mother's car, and we're driving towards my grandmother's house. And I told my mother that I had written Santa Claus this letter, and I was hoping for a, well, I hope you'll get your train set. But what I got was, oh, David, you're really too old to believe in that now, which is too bad. So I sat back in the car, and because you have to understand that this is ancient times. Seatbelts were not required back then. This was like the 1840s. So we sat back in my chair, and I said, yeah, you know what? I said to myself, I really am too old to believe in Santa Claus. And then, in succession, I lost Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and God. Boom, 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 right there sitting in the back seat of my mother's car. And I said so, and my mother told me, of course God exists, and I should ask the people at Hebrew school. And I did, many times. And the answers that I got were the stupid answers that we've all heard. Mysterious ways. You can't understand. How would an ant feel if he saw you? Yeah, but why do bad things happen to good people? Yeah. Mysterious ways. You know, they didn't answer any of the questions. So starting at that point, I never really believed in God. And I've never been closeted. I've always been completely open with it. And then what happened was I was bar mitzvahed as an atheist, an open, outed atheist, but I still had to do it. And my mother was all about keeping up with the other Jews. So I went to Hebrew school, and I suffered through it. My mother told me that I will do a perfect bar mitzvah, and I did. But here's what happened. And this was another one of those moments that really backfired on my Judaism. I'm standing on the bima, on the stage at Temple, and in front of me was everybody in my universe. Everybody. My entire universe was there. My extended family, all my friends, friends of the family, everybody was all there in front of me. And I lied to all of them. I gave this great speech. Let us declare the greatness of our God and render honor unto the Torah, which God gave through Moses as a heritage to the congregation of Jacob. A study of its precepts imparts a hope and a joy to life. An observance of his commandments assures peace and tranquility. I got the whole thing memorized because I had to, right? And I lied to all of them. And after I was done, they patted me in the back and gave me money and presents and told me what a good Jew I was. And I felt really, really bad, really guilty. I had lied to every single one of them, and I didn't like it, and they all believed me. They all fell for it. They all thought I was a good Jew, and I felt terrible about it. And as I thought about it going forward over the next few days, I was wondering how many times that had happened. How many people were up on that stage lying? Was the rabbi lying? I mean, I completely pulled the wool over the entire audience, over my entire universe. They fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. They were thrilled with my perfect bar mitzvah. It was a whole lie. And then I started wondering about how many times I had been lied to from that stage. And that's where I really got the impression that that religion wasn't just wrong, but that it was a lie, and that people were lying for it. Then there was the next part, which was confirmation. Now, confirmation isn't a thing in Judaism, okay? You don't get confirmed in Judaism. But you do get confirmed in Judaism if you belong to a temple that wants more money. So after you get bar mitzvahed at Temple Emmanuel in Marblehead, Massachusetts, you can go on and become a confirmed Jew. That means you take classes. It was a 2, 2, and 2. It was 2 classes a week, 2 hours a day for 2 years. Okay? It's continuing Hebrew school, 2 hours a day, 2 classes a week for 2 years. And of course, I had to do it because my mother insisted that I was a good Jewish boy. But there was a problem. I was going to prep school in New Hampshire. There was no physical way for me to attend my confirmation classes. Sorry, Mom, breaks my heart. Cry, cry, cry. I can't do it. Well, my mother would not take that. So she made a deal. and you guys are going to love this. If she paid for the classes anyway, and I did a final project to make up for missing 2 years of twice-a-week classes, I could graduate and get my confirmation with all of my friends and all the other good Jews.
Wow.
So
that definitely shows it as just being about money.
Well, no, you don't understand, okay? I had to do a final project.
Keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, the Goldbergs, really.
Oh, sorry.
So I had to do this final project, right? This huge project that's supposed to substitute twice a week, 2 hours a day for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So for 1.9999 years, I gave this not an inkling of thought. Nothing. And it came time for the deadline for me to turn in my final project. And what was I going to do? Well, I'm not exaggerating this story at all, folks. I took a piece of copier paper. And I need you to understand that, this above all else, to thine own self be true, right? I can do a lot of things. I'm a very good speaker. I'm very passionate about my cause. I have no artistic talent at all. None. Okay? No. There's no art in here at all. I took a piece of copier paper. I took a coffee can, put it on the paper, drew a circle, colored in the circle green and blue, drew a very poorly drawn hand holding up the circle, and called it God holding up the world. That was my final project for 2 hours a day, twice a week for 2 years. It took me 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and by the way, it looked like shit because I have no artistic talent. I turned it in, and they accepted it. And I went back to Temple, and I didn't even show up to Temple for the rehearsal, okay? I walked into Temple, they stuck me in line, I went up on stage, I got my certificate, I came down off stage, and that was it. Yay, Dave. And I sat down next to a girl named Dara, who was my old friend. We had gone through Hebrew school all those years together, and I was sitting next to her, and you know what graduates do when they get their diploma. They sit down in their seat, you open it up, and you look at it, you see it. So I opened mine, and she opened hers, and I looked at hers, and I looked at mine, and it was the same thing. I got this incredible deal. I got the same piece of paper. I got the same recognition, and I colored in a stupid circle with a hand instead of 2 hours, 2 years, and twice a day, twice a week. So I got this incredible deal because my mother had paid for those classes anyways. And that is when I learned that religion was a scam. Not just a lie, but a con for money. And they had conned my mother into thinking that she needed to pay them money so that I could get that silly piece of paper. And everybody would clap and say, yay, Dave was a confirmed Jew. And those are the big points of me growing up. Realizing there's no God, realizing it's a lie, and realizing it's a scam. It all lined up to make me the atheist activist that I am. So how about that?
Yeah.
I got more stories too.
Well, so how did you...
There was one time when I actually tested God by doing things bad. And I did things for a period of time, in the 9-10-year-old area. I was doing things to test God, to prove that he didn't exist. I stole things, gum, candy. When my mother was gone, I would set off firecrackers in the backyard. Big, evil thing. I would make sure to clean up all my mess, not leave any chance for anybody to see. Son of a gun. I never got caught. Yeah.
So how did you make it from being a teenager who figured out that religion's a scam to how did you make that transition into the atheist movement?
Well, I went to college, and I'll make this story rather quick. I went to college, and my second day of college, I fell for a very nice conservative Jewish girl. And what you would a conservative Jew only eats kosher. And so kosher has those crazy rules. Them can't mix meat and milk. Everything has to be separated. And so in Brandeis, where I went to school, everything was color-coded. Brown was non-kosher, red was kosher meat, and green was kosher dairy. And because my girlfriend was Orthodox, or I should say conservative, she would sit with her kosher friends at the kosher side of the cafeteria with her green tray or her red tray. And because I was a, well, whipped boy in college, I would drag my tray over to her, and I would sit down with her. I shouldn't say I was because I was whipped. I liked her very much, and I wanted to spend time with her, so I brought my brown tray over to her side, and I sat next to her, and all of her red tray friends or green tray friends, every meal. And you can imagine, so it was like this, this sea of red trays, and the atheists sitting right over there. Okay, you could tell from way across the cafeteria. So the debates ensued. And I kept winning over and over again. And it wasn't from people who were just indoctrinated into being Orthodox. These were rabbinic students and sometimes rabbis who would debate me and lose. And I mean lose bad and pretty easily. And one of those debating opponents was my girlfriend's best friend, an Orthodox Jew. She was a born-again Orthodox Jew, which means she had been raised non-religious, had gone to a yeshiva for high school because her parents had decided that that was a better school than the public school, and she came out completely and totally brainwashed. Orthodox, 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 and because she was so brainwashed, she had actually delved into it really deep, so she knew a lot about Judaism, and she and I really went after each other for a while. And after we graduated, she lost a chunk of her religion, and we've been married for 23 years.
Nice.
Yeah. So
quick question. When you were during those lunches, did some of her friends kind of scatter or move away from you a little bit?
Oh no. No. Jews don't do that. They come in.
All right. I was kind of hoping that you would part the red tray sea there a little bit.
No. They all wanted a piece of me. Nobody was afraid. They all wanted in. So I married Hildy, and we had our mixed marriage for, let's see, we got married in 91, and then comes 1996. And the Promise Keepers are big.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all over the place, and I'm really not liking them, and I'm really getting pissed off. And, I've gone to several pro-choice demonstrations in college. I was a pretty strong supporter of abortion rights because I saw it as an infringement on the separation of church and state. And I found out that there was this organization, which I'd heard about, called American Atheists, and they were having a demonstration in Washington, D.C. So I asked my wife, without hesitation. My wife said, go, and I went. And I'm sitting there, and this is when I met American Atheists for the first time. And we're on the picket line, and I'm pumped, and I'm angry, and I'm rah-rah, and I hold a sign, and CNN comes over. And CNN puts their camera right on me, and the cameraman goes like this. And I started to yell and scream. I started to yell things. And I don't remember what I yelled, but I do remember that it was great. It was really great. Smooth, on target, on point. I was thrilled with what I said. They didn't air any of it, but I liked it a lot. And Ellen Johnson was there. She liked it. Neil Carey was there. He liked it. And after that day, I started to get involved more, and I was shortly thereafter named state director for New Jersey, which was a position that I took because there was no state director in New Jersey, and I figured having a P.O. box and talking to the occasional press was better than not having a P.O. box and not talking to the occasional press. So I did that, and I really enjoyed it. I loved the activism. I started to put together teams of people. We would go to Trenton and we would distribute flyers in the State House until they threw us out. We had parties and we had a good time. And the interesting thing is, my master's degree, I have an MBA. And when you graduate with your MBA, you graduate with an objective, and that is to get a job and scale the ladder. That's your objective. You get your MBA, your job is to move up the ladder. And that's your intent. That's what they teach you at business school. So I graduated, I went to AT&T, and I intended to move up the ladder. And everything that I was doing, always be trying for your next promotion. Always be looking for your next promotion. That was the mantra back then. And so I'm doing my thing at AT&T, and then at Lucent I became a professional inventor. I was doing all this great stuff, having a good time. I had a great job. And all I'm doing, all the while I'm trying to ascend the ladder at AT&T and Lucent, I'm just being an activist at American Atheists. I'm just being an activist. I had no illusions, no desire to go up any ladders at American Atheists. The entire ladder above me was full anyways, and I had no interest in it. I wanted to go up the ladder at Lucent and AT&T, which, by the way, we're split off companies, so it was the same company. That's why I keep interchanging them. And then Ellen Johnson calls me and says, I want you to be a national spokesperson. And I said, okay. And then a couple of years later, Ed Buckner comes to me and says, I want you to be vice president. And I said, okay. And then Buckner started to talk about leaving, and we started to talk about succession. I was vice president. I lived in New Jersey, and I had a very, very, at this point, strong idea about where the organization should go. And that's when I became president. So that's how I went. That's how I ascended. I don't like the word ascended, but that's the correct term to use. I don't like the word ascended because it sounds, oh, I ascended. But but that's what happened. So that's how it worked. And I've been president of American Atheists now since 2010, September of 2010. And it is by far, it's leaps and bounds more difficult than being a professional inventor at Bell Labs.
I wanted to touch on that for just a second because I found that quite amazing. I was doing some reading about you recently, and you got your BA in computer science from Brandeis.
Yeah.
74 patents, is it?
74.
You go, boy.
Yeah. It was not by design. Not by design. I got my undergraduate degrees in computer science, and I didn't enjoy it. And in fact, I really, at the end of my college career, at the end of undergrad, I really despised programming. And that's why I went straight from undergrad to graduate. Normally, you take a couple of years off. I didn't want to take a couple of years off and work as a programmer. I didn't want to do any of that. It was boring. It was tedious. The editors back there, the programming editors back there, were not like the program editors today. You have to imagine there was no closing of the parentheses, and this was the worst part about it. You actually had to physically count parentheses in your code, and it was maddening. It was maddening. And so I went straight to graduate school, got my MBA in marketing, because I wanted nothing to do with programming. And so I went to AT&T, I went to sales first, and then I went into marketing. And I'm in marketing at AT&T, and I worked several layers down from a man named Roy Weber. And Roy Weber was the guy who invented 800 service. Okay, he invented 40% of the industry back then, and he's an executive vice president, I think he was, really high up, had the great parking spot, and basically what happened is he saw that I was technical. He saw that my undergraduate degree was technical. He and I started talking. He took a liking to me, and then one day in the men's room, standing next to me in the men's room, he explained to me why he was moving me. And he told me how jealous he was of me because I was going to get to do the hardcore tech stuff that he didn't get to do. And I said, but Roy, I'm a marketer. And he said, well, you know what? You can write about it, you can do tech, and you can write about tech. And that's what I need. And so he moved me and my entire organization to Bell Labs, and I became a professional inventor. And darn it, he was right. The first 6 months I was there, I just bibbled my lip. I had no idea what I was doing. And then I got my first patent, my first patent application, and then I got my second, and then things started to chug along a lot. And 1994, 95, 96, I was a machine. And I just kept doing patent after patent after patent. I had a wonderful time. And I moved jobs after a while. 1998, I think, I moved to a different department at Bell Labs. And then I was finally sold off to Natural Microsystems. But yeah, 74 patents, 74 issued patents, somewhere around 160 patent applications. And you know, a lot of people say, well, so you're rich, right? Because you have all those patents. Well, AT&T and Lucid bought every single one of those patents from me, which was very nice because, you know, it's great to say I have 74 patents. The super secret is not all of them are excellent. Some of them are downright crap. Some of them are silly. But they bought all of them from me. Some of them are I'm very proud of. Some patents I'm very proud of. Some of them are actually in use today. But most of them were crap, and they bought all of them. And so I sold every single one of them, and I was pretty happy with that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting a nice lump sum as opposed to a little bit of trickle through.
Well, yeah, and it wasn't a big lump sum. It was like $1,000 per patent, but you have to understand they were crap. Well, not all of them, but many of them were crap. And you know, I was a machine, but I was generating patents, not for use, but because they paid me to generate patents. So yeah, I was #1 in the company for generating patents in '95, I think. But that's what they paid me to do.
They love to have giant patent portfolios, anyways. So
yeah. In 1994 or '95. I remember there was an advertising campaign that Bell Labs was doing a patent a day. That was their advertising campaign. And in that year, I had filed personally 10% of the company's patents. Personally. So it was, they loved me. They loved me, and we had a great relationship for a long time until the bubble burst and Lucent and Bell Labs disappeared. And everything died.
Well,
yeah.
A lot of shit happened to those baby bells.
Yeah, well, and this was not a baby bell. This was AT&T. This was a long distance carrier, and Bell Labs. I mean, this is the company that that invented the transistor. This is the company. This is the location where Arno Penzias discovered the Big Bang. This is a big deal, and right now the building is empty, and they're planning on making it a shopping mall. At least that's the rumor. It's very sad. Yeah. Back in the day,
yeah, when
you get a job as a professional inventor at Bell Labs, and you're done. Right? That's the great job. That's the plum. You don't have to worry about getting promoted because there's enough ego in professional inventor at Bell Labs to last your lifetime. The salary was great. The money was coming in, and you just sit there and you do your job, and you're solid. You're set for life. You retire 30 years down the road. You get yourself a gold watch, just like everybody behind you. And then 2002 came, and poof. Yeah.
When was your last day programming?
My last day programming?
Yeah, inventing, let's say.
Oh. Well, I didn't really invent in my last couple of years at Bell Labs. I was a marketing director at Natural Microsystems, so I would say somewhere in the neighborhood of 2001, 2001, somewhere in that area.
Okay.
Yeah, but it really trickled off at the end. I was really only big in 94, 95, 96, 97, 98. Those were my prime inventing years.
Oh. So you went to college before that. Fuck, you're kind of old.
I am. I am. I look great, though.
Not bad, not bad.
This summer I turned 48.
Fuck. Man, oh man.
That's old.
Okay, for being the
That's
president of a national organization, that's not all that old.
Well, this is true. This is true. I could be 20 years my senior and still be president of a national organization, and believe me, I won't be.
Oh, all right. Going back to some comments, and there have been so many coming through, I have not been able to keep up at all. We've got from Jeff, David, bring a billboard to Kentucky. As of my knowledge, we have nothing here supporting the atheist community.
Okay, so in order to bring a billboard to Kentucky, we need an event. We don't just put up billboards because they should be there. We put up billboards for a purpose. So we need an event in Kentucky that will promote atheism, that will benefit atheism. Then we put up a billboard that's nice and edgy, that advertises that event, and then the news comes out, advertises the billboard for us, then lots of people come to the event. This is the way it works, and it works like a charm. So if you're in Kentucky, we've got a lot of activists in Kentucky. Plan an event, a big event, a multi-organizational event. Bring a bunch of organizations together. I love that kind of stuff. And we can, and have a conference. Have a conference, have a speaking engagement, have anything you want, but have a thing. We don't put up billboards just because there are no billboards. We put up billboards to benefit the movement in a real level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then there's been a few comments, some of them quite a while ago, actually. Wanted to hear about Bill O'Reilly.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing about Bill O'Reilly. I've talked to him off camera, and he's a smart guy. As much as he probably doesn't want people to know this, he's a smart guy. It's not he's not Bill O'Reilly that you see on TV. He's a different guy. And if you look at the video of my interview with him when I made the famous face, the tide goes in, tide goes out face, you'll notice, you have to understand that look of bewilderment is not just a look of bewilderment about what a stupid comment that was. I'd heard those stupid comments before, right? We all heard, I don't know, therefore God did it. What got that face, what got that bewilderment was that I was talking to the man off camera before the show, and he was smart. He was intelligent. He was knowledgeable. And then the cameras turned on, and the man turns into Bill O'Reilly. And it took me a while to figure that out. And if you look at the video, you can clearly see where I figure out that I'm talking to essentially a fictional person. But here's something a little on the fun side to know. So we put up this billboard in Times Square this past year. You don't need Christ in Christmas. The hand crosses off Christ. And Senator Lanza's freaking out. And I get a call on Thursday by Bill O'Reilly's team. They say, Mr. Silverman, we want you to come on Bill O'Reilly. When are you available? And I say, anytime, anywhere, I'm available to go on Bill O'Reilly's show. I like going on his show. It's a good show. or at least it's a fun show, and it's got a lot of, when he gets in my face, he puts my finger, and I get right in there, And so I say, okay, anytime, you name the time, you name the place, and we'll do it. That was on Thursday.
Right.
On Monday, they had Chris Stedman on to talk about my billboard, to talk about our billboard. And for those of you who don't know, Chris Stedman is the opposite of Dave Silverman, okay? He's the nicest guy that you could ever want to meet. He's way too nice. He's way off the other side of me, and I think that he's too nice to a fault. But okay, so they bring him on it, and the funny thing is that if you watch the clip with him, before you have the clip, before he comes on, the clip, the official Bill O'Reilly clip of him, starts with O'Reilly teasing some other person about allegedly being afraid to come on his show. And then he goes, all right, and here we have Chris Stedman here to talk about Dave Silverman's billboard. Okay. So O'Reilly and Stedman have a love-in, okay? They all, and Stedman was great on the show. I'm not trashing him at all. He was great on the show. He did the perfect nice guy. Then, that was a Monday. Then Tuesday, I got called by Hannity. Please come in on Thursday. Sure, I'll come in on Thursday. They're going to have me against Hannity and one other guy because Hannity is too afraid to have me on alone. Okay, great. Wednesday, I get a call from O'Reilly's group. Hello, Mr. Silverman. We see you are on Hannity's show tomorrow, and we would have booked you on, but you can't come on the O'Reilly show when you're on the Hannity show. So do you have anybody else you can send? I say, no. I'll skip Hannity and do O'Reilly. I would much rather do O'Reilly. I'll send somebody else to do Hannity. They said, no, thank you. We want somebody else to do O'Reilly. So Dave Moscato did O'Reilly. So I personally think, I'm not inside O'Reilly's head. The man's afraid of me.
Yeah, you rattled him.
The man's afraid of me.
The tide went out.
Yeah, the tide, exactly. They went way out of their way to make sure that they knew I wasn't available before they invited me. And they had the nicest guy in the movement, the nice guy of the movement, on to talk about my billboard when I was there ready to do so. When I was available and told them I was available, they called somebody else to talk about our billboard, and then they chickened out of having me on. So, you know what? Bill O'Reilly, if you're watching this, j'accuse. I think you're afraid of me, and you can prove me wrong this coming Christmas in the next War on Christmas.
Oh, god damn.
For some of these billboards that you're starting to put up, you ought to have just a little corner up there say, Bill, I'm available on these dates.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
So is he as much of a caricature as Stephen Colbert?
That's what I was thinking.
Well, he's not the real person. The person on TV is not the person off TV. I can tell you that, or at least, as far as I'm concerned, they're drastically different people. And this begs the question: if he is smart, then he is evil, right? Then he's doing some really bad misinformation for money.
Yeah.
I do not believe that Sean Hannity is that way. I believe Sean Hannity is an idiot. No, he's not an idiot. Maybe he's an asshole. But Sean Hannity is Sean Hannity. What you see on Sean Hannity is what you get off camera. And he and I have a very good, what I like to say, a very good, enjoyable for me relationship in that I openly give him shit as much as possible off camera, which is a lot of fun. But the question is, what's worse? The guy who knows better or the guy who doesn't?
The guy who knows better.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You can't really, because a comparison would be atheist ministers. However, Bill O'Reilly could get a job on any other network.
And
They
he's
would all
also
take him.
definitely independently wealthy by now.
Yeah. Whereas a minister, yeah, even the ones that don't believe it, and I have a hard time believing that anybody who's gone through a seminary can actually believe it,
Right.
unless they are idiots or they don't take their studies seriously. But when you've got that degree, it's a liability in the job market,
Well,
and
sure.
they've got some kind of an excuse, some reason to not get out. Bill O'Reilly doesn't.
Yeah. And I don't like where that takes me. I don't like where that takes me. If he's actually smart and faking stupid, giving me tide goes in, tide goes out, therefore Jesus, and things like that. No, Christianity isn't a religion, it's a philosophy, therefore the government can take a side. That kind of stuff, if he's actually doing that, knowing better, then that makes him a pretty evil person. And that's not a good thing to see. It's not a good thing to think, but that's where my mind goes. And I don't like it, but I think it's there.
Yeah.
So what else should we talk about?
Yeah.
Sex. What? All right. Go ahead, Dustin.
I'm flipping through the comments real quick. Oh, you got a tweet from American Atheists quoting you on Bill O'Reilly. If you're watching, I think you're afraid of me. Tweeted to the O'Reilly factor.
And well, you know what? That's what it looks like. And the funny thing is, the funniest part is that when he had Chris Stebbin on to talk about me, that clip starts, and you can look it up. That clip starts with him chiding somebody else for being afraid to go on his show, and then he had somebody else come on to talk about us because he was, well, frankly, too afraid to have me on.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
I like going on his show, though. You know, I really do like it. That last episode that I was on, I guess it was a year and a half ago now since I've been on, when he points his finger at me and I get right in there and we start going back, and that was a great show. That was good television. And you know, the studio went dark after that show, and he looks at me and smiles, and I said, that was good television. He said, yeah, you know, you got your point across, and we clearly, you know. Well, I won because his job is to make me look bad, and he failed.
Nah,
I looked good.
He just put another $1 million in his pocket.
Yeah, yeah.
You played in an audience like that, yeah. Mm.
All right. It's been a few years since the Reason Rally, but there was questions you were getting right after that at the American Atheist Convention of when the next one would be. Any news now?
Well, there's no official news. I will tell you that we haven't forgotten about the Reason Rally. There's a lot of people talking about Reason Rally 2. I think it's a fair thing to say that there will likely be a second one. When it's going to be has yet to be determined. No, it will not be. Well, I don't want to say anything definite, okay? I'm going to push very hard against going to the West Coast. And you have to understand, I do not want the second Reason Rally, and I insist that the second Reason Rally is not going to be run by me. I'm not going to run it. It's got to be someone else, because if it's run by me, it becomes a David Silverman event. And the Reason Rally is run by the Reason Rally Coalition, which is a separate 501c3 that I did set up for the Reason Rally. I'm still currently the president of that organization, but I don't want to be anymore. We are seeking new leadership. The new leadership will decide where it's going to be. However, saying that, I will fight tooth and nail against having it on the West Coast.
It would be nice.
It's got to be on the Washington Mall. It's got to be on the Washington Mall.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's the only other place that could even remotely compare to that for public effect would be Times Square.
I suppose.
But
I suppose, yeah.
You can't beat them all, and it's pretty awesome being there. And the shadow of, well, if there had been a shadow, but the shadow of the Washington Monument.
There was a shadow the day before. The day before it was a beautiful day.
And there was just something about knowing that if there was anybody at work in the Capitol building, they could hear us.
Yeah.
They could hear that crowd, and that doesn't happen anywhere else.
And you know what? There's such a cachet about happening on the Mall of Washington. I mean, you can see the people in line. I mean, if we had it in Times Square, how are you going to fit 30,000 people in Times Square? Well, you can, but you won't be able to see the crowd. It'll just be crowded, and you won't be able to tell who's there for Times Square and who's there not. With the Mall of Washington, you get a specific area on the mall, and you go as far back as you can, and it's sectioned out in quarters. And I think it's like 10,000 people per quarter. So we could figure out exactly how many people we had, just by looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I mean, there's a lot of pain around that location. You can't get your date more than a year in advance. So, I mean, that was the biggest pain. You can't get your date more than a year in advance. They tell you what you can sell and what you can't sell and how you can sell it. You can't sell things and raise money for your organization at the event. It's a whole bunch of mishmash about what you can and cannot do. But the cachet of having it on the mall in Washington is just unbeatable. And I think that it was worth it to have it there. And I'm going to push real hard to have it there again. I'm not going to be president of the Reason Rally Coalition anymore, but I will be a board member, and that's going to be my voice.
Well, I'm not going to completely speak for Dustin, but if you need some help, you want to have another person on that board, I'm available here.
Well, that's great. We need let's see what we need. We're looking for. I think the original board is about to be selected, so I think you're too late, frankly, to try and get on the board. However, if you want to try to run the event or be the vice president, the treasurer, the secretary, the director of publicity, throw your name in that hat right away. And if you're, it's not easy. I can tell you this without hesitation. It is not easy. But
I have a government job. I have a lot of spare time.
Oh, okay, great. Well, throw your hat in the ring. Do it, unless, of course, you're in Los Angeles or California, in which case you're going to have a tough time.
Seattle,
oh, well, that's great, but...
Yeah. There is a whole lot of the country over there on that eastern seaboard.
Yeah. And you know what, though? I think that the Reason Rally was just such a monumental event. I'm just so proud to have been able to pull it off. I think really the most important part of the event, I shouldn't say the most important, there were so many important things that happened, but in my mind, the number one thing that happened in the Reason Rally was that all the organizations in the movement worked together toward a common goal with money for the first time. That was the first time that ever happened. I mean, I stood shoulder to shoulder with CFI, with AHA, with all the players, with JRF, all the players. We all worked together, the big ones and the little ones. We were all equal partners, and you know what? It was monumental because we all worked together toward a common goal. We worked together well, and we achieved. And I think there's going to be a second Reason Rally because of that achievement. I think it was a fantastic, really a fantastic event. And if anybody listening to this podcast was unfortunate enough to miss that event, you better come to the second one because it's going to be fantastic-er.
Mm-hmm. And if we do it right, there won't be a need for a third.
There will probably be a need for a third, maybe a fourth, probably not a fifth. Because I mean, we're growing so quickly and we're gaining so much cachet so quickly that I don't think we're going to be fighting this fight for more than another 10 or maybe 15 years. Or I think we'll be fighting the fight, but I think we're going to win, and I think we're going to be fighting a much more benign fight in 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They'll more be the death throes of the religious right, hopefully.
Yeah, right now, yes. Yeah, that's why we're talking about legitimate rape and geocentrism and all that crap that is coming from the religious right now. It's just burying them. It's just burying them. Keep talking, please. Deepak Chopra, keep talking. I love it.
It's painful, but it is fun to watch him squirm.
It is. It is. And I personally get a great amount of enjoyment from it.
We get a lot of material from it.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
So this is a video medium for now, at least, until this gets turned into a podcast.
Okay.
You got any tattoos?
No tattoos.
Ah.
No tattoos. In fact, I'll tell you the reason I don't have any tattoos is because my wife won't let me. It was one of our compromises when we got married. Again, we have a religiously mixed marriage, and when we got married, we set down our rules for the marriage, and there's a Jewish prohibition against tattoos.
Christian
why?
One too.
Yeah. Why do I care? Well, it's the same one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's Leviticus. But there's a Jewish prohibition against tattoos. If you get a tattoo, you can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. And my wife wants to be buried next to me. And so I have a prohibition against getting a tattoo. And it's one of those sacrifices, one of those compromises that I made with my wife. Believe me, my wife has made many compromises back.
I've heard of a lot of Jewish people getting tattoos removed later in life for that reason.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Possible, but I'm not going to do it. I want to stay married.
I didn't get any tattoos when my mom was alive just because she always told me I'd come to a bad end. Those two words, bad end. And
if you got a tattoo, you'd be coming to a bad end?
Yeah, she didn't want me to get identifying marks for the police to identify me by. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I waited until I didn't have a whole lot that I'd be willing to do that I hadn't done since leaving religion, and celebrated 5 years of leaving religion, and finally got one.
What'd you get?
American Atheists logo.
Excellent.
Wesley and I were actually each in your American Atheist tattoo contest a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
we were
really?
both finalists in that, yeah.
Oh, excellent. Oh, let me see. I'm seeing something over there.
Think?
I can't quite see it. Oh, I see. Think. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've got a whole scene going on. Zombie Jesus, Zombie Mary, whole bunch of stuff.
Excellent.
Here's mine.
Oh, great. I've seen that one. Yep. I've seen both of them. Excellent.
Oh boy. Yeah, I might just have to get your what the fuck face sometime.
Somebody's done that. I have seen my face tattooed on somebody, which is I thought it would be odder than it is. It's actually not. I was actually quite happy with it.
Was it on his forearm or his ass cheek?
A woman's leg. A woman's leg.
I would be happy with that too.
She's a very illustrated woman. She's got lots of tats, and one is the what the fuck face sitting on her leg, and the tide goes in, tide goes out. A lot of I tell that to a lot of people, and they say, "Ooh, that's creepy." I didn't see it. I didn't get creeped out by it at all. I was totally cool with it. So go ahead, get my face tattooed on you. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Once your face is a meme, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. I've actually gone into the store, just some store, and seen on the racks they have these stickers, and my face is one of the stickers. That's a thing. It's not a normal thing. It's not an everyday thing, but it's a thing for me.
Tell me you bought it though. Tell me you bought one.
No, I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it.
Oh.
Oh, man.
I did take a picture of it, and people take pictures of it all the time. They see it all the time now. And there were shirts with my face on it because the person who did my face, he put it in public domain, And I don't know how legal that is, but I don't care because I don't care. Or at least I don't care much. So it's in the public domain, so people are wearing my face on their chest. That's cool, big. I'll tell you something though. At the Reason Rally, they had my face on a banner. Okay, a big banner with posts and everything. You ain't had an ego boost until you see your face on a great big banner. I mean, that's a thing. That's a ooh. And so I have a picture with Richard Dawkins, my wife, my daughter, my mother, my sister, and my brother-in-law, and my face on a poster. I had it all in one picture from the side of the stage.
Nice.
Yeah.
So which way is your daughter fallen?
My daughter's a pretty hardcore atheist. She has been an atheist since she was 6 years old, when she originally had her first doubts. I have gone way out of my way not to indoctrinate her. I have given her a Bible and told her to read it. She says she has. I have told her very straightforwardly that she should make her own decisions and that I will love her unconditionally no matter what decisions that she makes.
Yeah.
And I meant it. And she said, I'm an atheist. And she's been there ever since. And she's pretty proud of it. And what she likes to debate street preachers.
Nice.
Yeah, she likes it.
Must make you proud.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
There's a guy on my coast over here called Peter Bogasian.
Yeah.
Teaches you how to the best
Manual
way
for
to
creating
debate.
atheists, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Excellent guy.
Yeah.
Tell her to look him up because he's a blast.
Well, I look forward to meeting him myself. We've had a few email exchanges. I believe we like each other. I've never met him, but we have some common friends, and I look forward to meeting him sometime soon. I think he's in Portland,
Yep.
Oregon.
Yeah, Portland State University.
Yeah. So I haven't been to Portland in a long time, but next time I get to Portland, I'll give him a shout.
Really?
All right.
Come out to this coast.
I do come to the coast, but I don't come to Portland or Seattle very often because there's not much need for me there. However, I would love to. So if somebody in Portland and or Seattle would like to create an event, I'll come to it.
Fucking A.
Fucking A.
All right. We got another tweet from American Atheists. American Atheists has exclusive Dave Silverman meme ceramic necklaces.
Oh yeah. They were actually. Now that was weird. Buying necklaces in bulk with your face on them. That's weird. But people seem to like them, and it's fun. And if you call and if you buy one of those necklaces, they're ceramics. I love ceramics. If you buy one, they're coarse on the back, and I'll sign it for you, so you can have an autographed green face necklace.
Nice.
Yeah, rock and roll.
Oh man. It's getting kind of late where you're at, and we should probably start wrapping up here.
All right, then I
Yeah,
have
it's
my.
9:15.
Oh, I'm sure you don't stay up very late.
I'm going to stay up a little while longer, but I would like to have dinner.
All right. Wow, smack. All right. Let's see. Just a second here. Got a couple quick questions for you.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Okay. Favorite movie? Just like rapid fire.
Favorite movie?
Yeah.
Dave.
Who shot first?
Not because it's named after what?
Who shot first?
Hand shot first.
All right. Just making sure.
Of course, hand shot first.
All right. Good geek cred test right there.
Oh yeah. Okay.
All right.
You know what was in Junkies?
What turns you on?
What turns me on? Activism turns me on, and I mean it. I care. What turns me on is fire in the belly. There's a person at Fox News, a young lady whose name I cannot remember right now, but she and I are on opposite sides of American support for Israel. I only support it somewhat, and she thinks that America should be wholeheartedly involved with Israel. But when she talks about that, you could see it in her belly. You could see it in her face. She gets all. I love that. I love that. I love activism and I love passion.
What have you done that you're most proud of accomplishing?
That would be the Reason Rally.
Nice.
That would be the Reason Rally. Yeah.
Turn-offs.
Turn-offs. Stupidity. Really, stupidity and ignorance. I do not like stupidity. Stupidity is a turn-off, but ignorance is worse because ignorance is optional. Ignorance is a choice. I also have a real big problem with laziness.
Who's your biggest hero?
Madeleine Murray O'Hare.
Fucking hell.
Really, it's her. She sacrificed so much for her cause, and a lot of people throw shit at her because she was kind of bitchy. And when you get, when she was gruff and she was this, she was that. Yeah, she was all those things. She was also a hero, a real hero who sacrificed much of her life, and in the end, her life, for this country and for the citizens therein. So I would put her right there.
And the coup de grace. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, totally
Wow.
ripped it off from the Actors Guild.
I did?
No, I ripped that question off from the Actors Guild.
Oh, okay.
All right, and that one's hard to beat. So on that note, Dave, thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show. I really enjoyed it. This was fun.
Fucking A.
Yeah, fucking A.
Next
And I get to swear.
Next time we have to get together for beers, man.
Absolutely.
All righty.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and stop
Tell
recording.
Henley, thanks for letting us steal you away for a while.
No problem.